All right, hello. Welcome to the National Solution Selling Panel video with AppSmart. My name is Lauren Campbell. I'm a marketing program manager here at AppSmart, and I'm so excited to be joined by MetTel, Nextiva, and Zendesk. So I'm going to let our panelists introduce themselves and a little bit about their role. So Max, I will let you go first.
Great, thank you, and thanks for having me on. Max Silber, I'm VP of Mobility and IoT for MetTel, and I've been at MetTel for probably 11 and a half years now, and that's as long as we've had a mobile program at MetTel, so happy to be here.
That's a good sign. Gotta love the longevity. Thank you so much for joining us. Tara, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Yes, thank you for putting this together at AppSmart. My name is Tara Koger. I am a partner enterprise champion with Nextiva. I have been in the industry for over 20 years and specializing in UCaaS, CCaaS for the last 10 years. Really looking forward to this session today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. And last but not least, David, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. David Rickers here. I am a partner sales executive here at Zendesk. I help support the AppSmart partnership and cover commercial south in the US. I've been with Zendesk for just about 3.5 years. Still a little fresh on the partner side of things, but having a lot of fun over here with AppSmart. So thank you very much for having me.
Good. Thanks so much for joining. So I'm really just going to get started here. Max, I'm going to give you the very first question. What is the primary solution you want AppSmart advisors to think of when they think of MetTel?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, and it's a little selfish, obviously, but I want them to think of MetTel as the premier mobile provider to the channel. So anything within their customer requirements, and it's really anything from these things. It doesn't matter. This is Samsung, but could be Apple as well. Smartphones, data-only connections, IoT-based solutions that need to be provided to their customer base. That's really where we differentiate ourselves. And the program itself, I think one thing we've done now for about a year that's been incredibly successful is not just use the traditional models of the underlying network providers, and we provide network services on Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, but we also offer a flavor of a program called MDAS, or Mobile Device as a Service, that allows the partners' customers to procure latest and greatest devices, including ruggedized cases, screen protectors, all the over-the-air programming or provisioning that AppSmart can bundle together with all their other software solutions. And if that customer ever runs into a problem like breaks their device, we actually give them a emergency overnight replacement, a brand new device. Every 12 months, they could break up to 15% of their entire inventory and not have to pay anything for deductibles or new devices. So that program has been hugely successful. And when we talk about partners, we obviously want to provide partners with a way to differentiate themselves from what's out in the marketplace.
I love that. Thank you. David, what do you think? Where is Zendesk unbeatable?
Well, we are known for being a global leader in customer support and communications. That's where we were born. This is not something that we've taken on along the way. So a dead simple omni-channel customer support and engagement experience is what you get with Zendesk. Have great out-of-the-box solutions. You can be up and running in an afternoon. However, we are very flexible. We're built on AWS and have a lot of professional services teams to do essentially anything that you'd like to do in terms of customer service and the customer service experience that you'd like to provide. But also with IT help desks or HR or internal ticketing or support programs, we work really well there. We typically win against our competitors in total cost of ownership and time to value. We're fairly quick and have a quick deal cycles as well. So typically 4 to 6 weeks for a mid-market rollout is what we're seeing. So that's really advisors like to see that as well.
Awesome. Gotta love the quick turnaround too. And finally, Tara, what do you think? Where is Nextiva unbeatable?
Yes, so great. So for the trusted AppSmart advisors out there, Nextiva, we do everything from SIP trunks to AI and everything in between, right? UCaaS, CCaaS. What we're really known for is our amazing service. We are very strong in service, support, and reliability. We have a infrastructure second to no one, 8 data centers across the US. So if you're looking for someone that's looking for that service, that reliability, and making sure they have that uptime. Secondly, if somebody's looking for that one contract for UCaaS and CCaaS, everything from SMB to enterprise with our partnership with Five9, we can do that on one single contract. And thirdly, anyone that's looking to get into automation, AI, conversational AI, we are very strong at it. It is the new future-proof your business, I like to say, is using AI. And having customers getting into that automation place, and we're going to talk about it a lot today, I'm sure, with me, but we have been doing it for over 8 years here at Nextiva. So that's a really strong place. If you have a customer out there that doesn't have a contact center and wants to get into automation, we can help them out. Typically, you have to have a contact center. So really a lot of strength there.
Awesome. Well, good. Thank you. And I'm going to ask all three of you this next question. So, you know, we'll stick with you for right now, Tara. You can answer first. What sales best practices have you seen technology advisors use with their end user clients that you wish you could duplicate across every single deal an advisor you deal with?
I would love if people would quit asking, how many phones do you have? What's your overhead paging? How many PRIs you have? And change conversations. I really go across the country and I talk to everyone about changing the conversation. Today, we should start asking people, how are you collaborating? We have all in the last 2 years changed the way we work. Our customers have changed the way they deal with companies. So how are you collaborating? Is it chatbots? Is it email? Is it SMS? Is it text, right? How are you providing self-servicing applications for your customers? And how are you working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Understanding what they need to integrate with. And lastly, like I spoke earlier, what's your automation roadmap? How are you going to keep your business up using automation and future-proof your company? When I see the advisors use that strategy, I see a lot more success and I see them upselling a lot higher into more deeper sales than just replacing some phones.
That makes perfect sense. And I mean, advisors out there that are listening, you just got some qualifying questions to ask to those customers. So hopefully they'll be able to put those into practice. Max, what do you think?
You know, I think very similar to what we just heard. You have to take a step back, not just respond to the specific ask you might be getting, typically from an IT analyst, maybe an IT manager. You have to think like the CIO of that company, or you have to think like a business owner if it's a small business. What's driving the request? The more you peel back and understand what's behind the request, the more information you're going to have to arm us to give you the best possible option or the best possible price from a proposal perspective. So I always say the best advisors I've seen out there, and I've worked with many of them now for over a decade, they always kind of take that step back and ask the question, well, why? Why are you guys looking for a comparable quote to what, let's say, you just got from Verizon? What are you really trying to accomplish? Oh, we're changing the way we do things. We have to get new iPhones to the salespeople. We need to save $250,000 a year. I go, okay, that's a different question than, hey, can you match this price? Or can you, kind of look at this offer and tell me if you guys are in the ballpark? The more we have that information, the more we can arm advisors to go back into that conversation and say, hey, based on what I think you guys need, here are some options. Because when that proposal makes its way back up to leadership or back up to ownership, the response is going to be much more positive, both for the advisor as well as the person that made the initial request. So always kind of take a step back and say, what is the real purpose of that question?
I like that, especially so many advisors start too with the, what do you have today, right? Which makes sense to know what their current environment looks like, but not necessarily what their goal is, right, for the outcome. David, what do you think?
I think all folks have with their end customers. So that's where we see success is coming from a consultative type conversation, a consultative relationship. In addition, we have some other great tools right out of the box from Zendesk with pre-sales and out of the box marketing campaigns for our partners. We have, MDF and PDF requests that can be made to help with any specific marketing campaigns. And so there's a lot of different ways that we've seen advisors have success, but it really all comes to having a good relationship and understanding the client that they're working with.
Awesome. And I think you guys just answered right away, right? How we've all seen advisors discover and uncover an unexpected solution during the sales process. Do you think there are any other solutions or what, I guess, solutions could you say for each of your respective companies would be involved in a cross-sell and why? So David, we'll stick with you for this one first.
Well, Zendesk is open and flexible. We're built on the AWS cloud, so the sky's the limit in terms of who we can work with and how. Let me make sure that I'm understanding your question correctly. Are you speaking more towards Zendesk to advisor or Zendesk to customer?
I guess either one, honestly. And we're going to have listeners of both types. So whichever you'd prefer, honestly, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just pick up again with maybe some things to hear, to listen for. If you are having conversations around support, anything with customer experience or customer service or help desk or internal ticketing are keywords that we're looking for. A call center, support center, things like that are those are the titles that we help with, are making things more efficient and more automated when it comes to customer support.
Awesome. Tara, do you want to tell us a little bit about Nextiva? I know you already gave us some qualifying questions, but what about from an upsell perspective?
Yeah, so from an upsell perspective, again, it's looking outside of the box and seeing what else they're doing, right? So I'm just going to give an example here of one we did because that was one of your questions earlier. Mm-hmm. We had a credit union. A lot of banks are used to doing self-servicing, right? Your banks, you can do that. But a credit union is typically a home business, hometown business that is used to providing just a good customer experience when you walk into their location, right? We had a credit union with 16 locations who was doing no self-servicing today, right? But now the world has changed. It's flopped in the last 2 years. Those credit unions need to start providing self-servicing. Myself, Lauren, Max, David, I'm sure none of you guys work 8 to 5 anymore, right? If I can't work with a business at 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's hard for me to work with a business. So this credit union was really struggling with how they could provide a better customer experience for their people after hours. So really getting in there and us talking about automation and AI and providing that cross-selling, that really closed our UCaaS and CCaaS opportunity. Now, sometimes just by having those conversations, we have seen that it closes the UCaaS and CCaaS in the phase 1 and makes the automation or something cross-selling into a phase 2 or phase 3. But really having those conversations about that experience in that self-servicing marketplace, and it can be everything from credit unions. I've seen it with catering companies, restaurants, healthcare. So my suggestion is really to shop your client and really understand what you would expect from that client if you were doing business with them. So automation can be so outside of the box that is just as far as your magic can go.
I love that. Especially like you said, look for it in real life, right? We all use a credit union or banking system in some way, shape, or form. Right. Last but not least, Max, what do you think?
So I think when you start talking about upselling or cross-selling, mobility's actually been one of our greatest new logo acquisition tools. We typically come in, look at the account. It typically starts with the basic, what we call the basic is the corporate account. So I'll give you an example. Healthcare company, we transitioned over 500, give or take, corporate mobile devices and some hotspots for their corporate users running around. We started with that project. Within probably 30 days, we transitioned the whole account, saved them about 20%. Then they came back to us and said, hey, we forgot about this other invoice we get in this scenario from AT&T, and it's not standard mobility. It's actually IoT-based devices that we deploy as sensors because we're a home health delivery company. So we're delivering these devices that we're monitoring remotely. So we need IoT connectivity as well. And then we take over. So we took over all the, and that had several thousand connections that we took over. And then we started asking very basic questions. Well, how are you getting your devices over to these homes? They go, well, we've got a fleet of 200 vehicles. We said, well, we have a fleet solution. So they said, great. So then we took over all their fleet. And again, that's another sellable, commissionable product that's it then ends up being part of that same ecosystem. And then we went and visited them and said, well, how's the mobile offering and services been going? They said, it's great. In fact, since you guys are here, we're about to deploy SD-WAN, and we also want to do SD-WAN with you guys using your mobile connectivity as one of those connection corridors into the device. So then we ended up selling them a huge multi-hundred site SD-WAN deployment. And while we were there, they said, well, by the way, you know, POTS is going away, and everybody's kind of running around looking for POTS transformation solutions. Well, we heard you guys have one with 2 redundant carrier mobile connections. Can we get that from you as well? And we ended up doing the POTS line. So that's obviously doesn't happen in every case, but I can tell you, just as the nature of mobility and the way it works, on average, we're selling somewhere around 2 solutions per customer. So
Wow,
it is a great way to cross-sell, because once you're in there, obviously, as long as we do a really good job for the customer, and it's something we've won a lot of awards around, we're very proud. We do everything ourselves, including 24/7 customer care that's US-based and handled by fully badged MetTel employees. Once we're in there and we're doing that job for your customer, there's ample opportunity to go in and continue to cross-sell, both within the mobile portfolio, but also within the rest of MetTel's portfolio.
I love that. It's probably all in one bill too, which makes, you know, I'm sure
love
less.
Yeah.
Max, what do you think is the biggest sales mistake that technology advisors make today that causes them to either lose or miss an opportunity?
I think they stay too hyper-focused to the request that I think we covered earlier. They're just looking at, but this is what the IT professional asked me for, or the finance person or the procurement person asked me for, and I need it, and I can't think or look at anything else. You have to go back to the core. You're a technology advisor. They're looking for your advice. They're not just looking for your quote. If they wanted a quote, they just call all the other providers that are similar and just get a quote from them and say, well, let's choose the one that has the best price, or maybe we like the rep the most. You want to advise them, and you want to take a step back and say, I understand you live in this kind of corridor, but let me kind of open your eyes and show you all the different possibilities and options that are out there, so that you can then make the best decision for your company. So I think that if I had to pick one, and it's by no fault of theirs. I mean, this is their profession, and they're trying to get wins, and they're obviously the commissionable part of it is huge. But I think if you take a step back and really turn your methodology back into one of an advisor, you get a lot more respect from the customer. You get the customer's ear further up the chain within the decision tree. And I think the probability of success just exponentially increases the more you're providing new and unique data to the conversation.
I wholeheartedly agree. Take that advisor role very seriously and ask the why behind it. David, what do you think, or what would you suggest, I guess, technology advisors do to prevent this from happening? Because obviously this is a key theme, right? In all 3 of you, what you guys have all said. So what do you think? How can they prevent that from happening?
Ask more questions, or come from a place of genuine curiosity. You really, like Max is saying, you really have to understand the motivation and the goals in order to have that consultation or consultative relationship. And it can get really easy to fall into a ask, answer, give, take. But you have to become on their side and understand where they want to head. So that would be my advice. Ask more questions and ask them to the right people.
I love it. Tara, anything to add?
I do, and I'm going to add this in 2 parts, and I agree with Max and David. So based on what Max said is, yes, I'm going to date our video here and say right now we have an economic problem in this country, and everybody's looking to save money. So
Mhm.
the biggest mistake, like Max said, is passing a quote out to save money. We need to be educating our customers on how to make money. How do you use technology as a resource to improve your business, do work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, make money while you're sleeping, consolidate some of your resources, take your employees that want to get paid a whole bunch of money, give them skilled jobs, and use technology for those lower paying jobs, redundant activities. A great question to ask your client: what are 5 redundant activities that your employees do today that are making them less productive for your organization?
I like
Right?
that. Yep, yep.
So that's my step one. My second step on this question is use your resources. At Nextiva, each one of my channel managers has what we call a partner teaming unit of 9 to 12 SMEs that can be brought in early and do discovery. I cannot tell you how many times in my career I have heard advisors say, I've been doing this for 20 years, I know the questions to ask. And they don't
Mhm.
want us to do discovery as the vendor. That's the wrong approach. Due to the fact that you are probably dealing with 6, 7, 8 vendors, there may be an opportunity in there that we can do that you're not even aware of. Let us have the opportunity to come in and talk to your customer with our solution architects and our SMEs to really help you upsell and sell more, rather than just that quick. We want to do a quick turnaround and we plan on it, but let us get the most value for your client and for yourself so you can make more money.
I love that. Who doesn't want to make more money for their company, honestly, and then
Right.
obviously turn that into commissions.
Correct.
So I love that. And then this is my final question of the day that I will ask all 3 of you. Tara, we're going to start with you since you are already here. Is there a misconception that people have about Nextiva? And if so, what do you think is the best way to overcome that misconception?
Yes, the biggest misconception about Nextiva is that we are an SMB company. We are not. Over the last 5 years, 3 to 5 years, I would say, we have really, really evolved. We have moved up market. We have put the people in place to help with enterprise customers. We have brought in our Five9 partnership, which is extremely strong. We are a family with Five9. And people really need to get in and start talking with us again. Reconnect with your channel managers. If you're working with Five9 today, tell them to bring your Nextiva reps in too. They love working with us. We love working with them. And get to know that partner teaming unit. If you only know your channel manager, go to your channel manager and say, introduce me to your partner teaming unit, because we are not the SMB company. We are still SMB. We love our SMB, but we're not just that anymore.
Got it. What about Zendesk?
Similar. I think we tend to get pigeonholed as well. We started in SMB, but we have grown quite a bit, and similar. We are now global. Have that great out of the box option, but we also have custom solutions up and down market as well. And we do compete and win every day against enterprise solutions like the big boys, the Salesforces and ServiceNows and others that are in the space. So that's one thing that I tend to see, is that we just get pigeonholed into either down market or strict, one of our use cases.
That's awesome. And last but not least, Max, what about at MetTel? How do you guys kind of differentiate or spotlight your differentiators and turn those, misconceptions into those spotlights?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception, and it's pretty common, is we have a very vast portfolio, and advisors tend to associate us with whichever solution they sold of MetTel. Now, mobility's been around for 11 years, but the company's been around for 25 years. So at one point or another, I bump into an advisor and they say, oh, I thought you were only kind of fill in the blank. And when I started mobility, I'll share with you, it was always, I thought you guys were a POTS aggregation company. I didn't know you did mobility. One of the greatest things that happened to me about 5 years after I started there was advisors started coming up to me and saying, I thought you guys were just a mobility company. I didn't realize you also did, and then fill in the blank, which is great. We kind of turned a little bit of that misconception around POTS aggregation. But again, I have advisors that have sold some of the largest SD-WAN deals in the country, some that have sold some of the largest POTS transformation deals. We just announced one with JCPenney nationwide. So it's more about what advisors educate themselves around, and then how far or how vast into the portfolio they're kind of willing to look past. So I would say for any company, not just MetTel and not just some of my colleagues here, it's really important to always, when you start working with an organization, stay current on what they're working on, what their strategy is, where their wins are. Yeah, like we heard here, some folks. I started mobility in SMB 11 years ago. Now we really specialize in, I'd say, more medium to enterprise than we probably do in SMB. We still do it, but if you haven't been on that journey with us, then you're not aware of that, and you're probably not sure where we're the best fit. So yeah, it's just about education, and it's just about asking all the questions. We all have resources at your disposal, whether with customers or just to educate you through our channel team. So ask all the relevant questions, and you'll get all the information that you need around that.
There you go. So we want, these are the key takeaways, right? We want the advisors to ask larger questions, not just the exact same approach, but they should probably be doing the same thing to all three of you and all three of your companies as well, so that they understand from the experts, from the SMEs, what you guys do and what you do best, and how you differentiate yourselves. So those were all of my questions today. Thank all three of you so much for joining. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. Have a good day.